Welcome to Tehachapod, the City of Tehachapi's podcast, where we share conversations with local leaders, business owners, and community members. Don't miss an episode. Be sure to follow and subscribe to learn something new and discover ways to get involved in our community.
Hello and welcome back to Tehachapod. Maya Acosta here with Connor Long, our operations manager at Marley's Mutts Rescue. Connor, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're excited to talk all things Marley's Mutts. I think kind of just start off, we know that there's been a lot of change happening with Marley's Mutts, but you guys are still here, strong in the community, serving the same mission that you guys have always had. How have things been this year?
We've had a lot of change, but things are going great. Again, we do want to remind everybody we are still here. We have the ranch in Tehachapi, which is open to the public. So we're trying to find more ways to involve the community. So we've been doing a lot more ranch events on the weekends just to invite families out. We're still serving the original mission of rescued dogs rescuing people. So a lot of our programming still focuses on the dog and human bond and how those relationships can help heal people. So we're still serving that mission. We still have Miracle Mutts, which has been around for over a decade now.
Wow.
And that's the program where we take therapy dogs into hospitals or libraries, senior living homes, and let people who may be having a tough time get some extra cuddles and love from the dogs. So that program is really amazing. Definitely keeps us in the community, which we really love doing. We have our Positive Change program. So that's where we send dogs into different prison facilities, and we have trainers that go in and work with the inmates and the dogs. Again, really honing in on the relationship that's built between the dogs and the inmates, learning things like communication skills, teamwork, compassion, empathy. And so that's, really great for the guys. We are looking at starting up our juvenile program again, which is really fantastic. We're all really excited about that. So Positive Change is alive and well, and we're doing what we're doing with that one. We started at the beginning of the year our veteran program, Troops and Tales. We have expanded that to include first responders. So what that program is again, utilizing the dogs in our rescue and partnering with local therapists here in Bakersfield and Kern County. They come up to the ranch, and there's a dedicated private space to hold counseling sessions, and you get to work with the dog while you're going through that, and just really paying attention to what's happening with the dog, how you're interacting with the dog, and using that to kind of process emotions and feelings. So that is our newest program. And, we have a few veterans that are involved in it that seem to be really enjoying it. We've opened it up to first responders as well. Again, looking at our community, and we know how valuable our veterans are and our first responders. They're our nation's heroes, and being able to give back to them and have these rescue dogs who also understand trauma, be able to have this beautiful relationship while they help each other heal. It's a very exciting program, and we're excited to watch it grow and see what the future holds for it. And then again, this year we kind of made a big shift to focus more of our attention and resources on our Mutt Movers program, which is our rescue by relocation. So with the vast overpopulation problem we have in Kern County, adopting dogs is getting tougher and tougher. Everybody already has dogs. Usually they're maxed out on the number of dogs they can have. And so a lot of rescues in Kern County have seen a decline in the number of adoptions, which means a decline in the number of lives saved. So we've been growing our partnerships with rescues out of the area, mostly out of state, but we do have some partners in California, but they're in areas that are not facing the overpopulation problem. And so we've been really focused on taking dogs from the local shelters that are at risk and moving them to those out of area places where they're having fantastic success getting homes. Most of these organizations are foster based, so the dogs get out of a facility and get to be in a home until they're adopted. And so that program's been really wonderful, and watching it take off this year and seeing the volume of lives we've saved this year is really amazing.
Yeah. Do you have an idea of how many of those dogs you've helped relocate relocate?
Yes. So as of today, we had transports go out this weekend. We have saved 573 dogs this year with our Mutt Movers program.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My goodness. And that's such a huge number, and amazing to see that it's, a positive number in a sense, right? Those are the lives being saved, where potentially those are dogs that could have been facing, the kill list, which is, it's horrible. It's unimaginable to think that there's just such an overabundance of, these dogs in need that just need a home here in Kern County.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, that's really crazy. Now, where are some of those partners that you guys work with? Was Washington one of the states that you work with a lot?
Yeah, so we have a couple different partners in Washington. We've got a couple partners in Oregon. We just developed some new partners in Idaho. There's a couple different partners we work with in Montana. There's a new partnership we just started in Utah. And we actually have 2 Canadian rescues that work with us as well.
Oh, wow. That's very cool. Now, I wonder, talking with Nick Cullen with Kern County Animal Services, they have their stray cat program, barn cat program, I should say. Do you think a lot of those dogs that are being transported to these more Pacific Northwest area or more north of the country, they're helpful for ranching and things like that? That's kind of your farming area, right?
I think to some extent, sure. One of our rescue partners in Washington prefers the herding breeds, and her adoption base is always looking for the herding breeds. So I would imagine those guys are getting out on ranches more. It just varies. We work with one rescue that is dedicated to helping save pitties. And so we get a lot of dogs to them. And again, their adoption base is very specific to the pitty breeds. And so they've been able to really help us a lot with the bully breeds that are normally a little bit more difficult to get out.
Right. And do you guys see a higher percentage of the dogs that you bring in that are the pit bull or bull type breed dogs?
This year, that's kind of another change. I think we've seen almost as many German Shepherds come through as we have pitties. A few years ago when I was working at the shelter, I felt like it would come in kind of cycles. We get just buried in pit bulls, and then a couple months would go by and we'd get buried in huskies, and then a couple months would go by and we get buried in shepherds, and it seemed to kind of always rotate through. And while huskies still end up in Kern County, which doesn't make sense to me at all, it doesn't feel like they're as bad this year. I do feel like we've definitely seen a lot more shepherd mixes this year, and still very heavy on the pitties.
Yeah. Now, for maybe people who aren't terribly aware of some of the issues with rehoming or adopting out the pit bull type dogs, what are some of those challenges or maybe stereotypes that I shouldn't say a lot, but that some people have on those breeds?
There's still quite a few people who have it in their head that, pitties are dangerous. They're vicious, aggressive, man-eating dogs. Right. And so a lot of homeowners insurance won't cover bully breeds. A lot of rentals, you can't have a bully breed. Airlines won't fly your pit bull if you're going on vacation. There's all kinds of breed-specific issues that come up when you have a pit bull. And then there's outside of the actual, I can't find a house because I have a pitty. There's I'm walking down the street and people run to the other side of the street to get away from me. That's hard for pitty owners. And, I think the people who are willing to see, past those stereotypes, they work so hard to make their dog an advocate for the breed.
Right.
And that puts so much pressure on bully owners. And, unfortunately, any dog has the potential to be aggressive. Any dog has the potential to hurt someone. And, there are cases where, it's a pit bull. Unfortunately, those are the cases that get talked about more often than the Chihuahua who bit a kid in the face.
Right.
I get it. They do more damage. They're a bigger dog. But it's just, I love pitties. And I just think it's unfair. And so we've really been trying to work on also, having those really great bomb-proof pitties that we get out into the community and show people, this is a dog who just wants to sit on the couch and cuddle with you. Right. I cat assess a lot of the dogs in the rescue because that's a question a lot of people have. And I can't tell you the number of times where, just again, because of the size difference between a 75-pound pitty and my 12-pound cat, I'm a little nervous. And so many of them are like terrified of the cat. They're giant babies.
Yes.
And I think it's important for people to just understand dogs are dogs. And they are animals. So again, you have that component where any dog could hurt a person or another animal. Breeding plays a lot to do with it. So again, one of the things we put a lot of focus into this year is helping with spay and neuter, because these families who don't have the resources to do it, and now litter mates are breeding and they're putting those puppies out into the community that now have genetic problems. That contributes to behavioral issues, and nobody talks about that side of it. But if there's genetic problems, you could potentially have a higher risk of having an aggressive dog. You're definitely going to have a higher risk of health issues in the dog. So we're really trying to help with spay and neuter and provide resources for families that don't necessarily have the availability to go to a vet and pay $600 to have their dog spayed.
Right.
But that's a big part of it. And then, just being out in the community and talking to people. And, we're always happy to answer questions. And if you want to learn about a breed, if you're scared of a breed and you want to start with a puppy who's not so scary, we're always happy to help with stuff like that. So if somebody wants to come to the ranch and be honest and say, I don't like pitties, but I want to learn.
Yeah.
We would love to have you at the ranch.
That's awesome.
Biases are there. The only way we get past them is if we learn. And you can't learn if you're not willing to ask. So we're always happy to share information and to meet community members and talk about everything from breeds to spay and neuter to vaccines to how to create structure in your home if you have a dog that's going a little crazy. And really, we want to be here for the community. We've been here in Tehachapi. We've had the ranch since 2018. And being a part of this community is important to us, and we just want to make sure that we're giving back and supporting the community.
Totally. I love that. I love hearing that you guys are such big advocates for, education especially. I think there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I want a dog. And then they go get a dog and they don't think about all the responsibility that comes with it. And unfortunately, these days, the high cost with, as you said, getting them spayed and neutered and getting all their vaccines and all the things that you need to have a happy, healthy dog and to be a responsible pet owner. And then you talk a bit about, the biases for some of these specific breeds. And I always find the whole, kind of at home or backyard breeding versus, getting a pet from a pet store versus adopting a pet from a shelter. Is there any more that you can kind of talk to us about those different comparisons? And I mean, obviously, I know you're a little biased of like adopting a shelter pet, right?
Yeah.
But maybe some of the implications that follow from like the backyard breeding or purchasing, a pet from like a boutique pet store.
So I will say like the pet store stuff is changing in California. A lot of times they're not allowed to have a storefront anymore. It's an adoption facility now. So you have organizations like Westside German Shepherd Rescue in LA has a full-blown facility in the middle of LA for all of their dogs, and it's an adoption center. Pet stores were hard because there wasn't a lot of regulation going on, but I think one of the things that people should be looking at is I'm not anti-breeding. Breeding has always had its place. And whether you're talking about wildlife or you're talking about dogs, you have captive breeding programs that have saved endangered animals. So it definitely has its place. Dogs, different breeds are bred for different purposes, and the way that you go about breeding them can make the quality much better, or that instinctual drive specific to that breed more apparent, and they have a job. And that's great. That's wonderful. So I'm not inherently like, oh, all breeders are bad. I don't believe that. But there's a difference between a reputable breeder and not. So a lot of people are running around and I love my dog. I want it to have a litter so that I can keep one puppy. It's beautiful. I'm so glad that you love your dog. However, you're not going to get a carbon copy by breeding. And a reputable breeder is doing it by getting the mom and the dad health checked to make sure they're actually healthy enough to have a litter of puppies. And so if you're talking about shepherds, you're looking at things like hip dysplasia. If you're talking about Frenchies, you're looking at, are they going to be able to breathe?
Right.
So much of that is not being checked right now. And so what's getting put out into the community is all these really, really unhealthy dogs. If you're a pity owner, you probably have heard multiple times while you've owned however many pitties you've owned that they have bad skin. It's just a pity thing. Well, it is. But we haven't monitored how we're breeding these dogs. So we take 2 dogs that have horrible skin allergies and we breed them. Guess what? Their babies are going to have horrible skin allergies.
Right.
That's how that works. And so when you're looking at buying from a breeder, my recommendation is make sure that they're doing the testing, no matter what breed it is. You know, you have certain people who are like, well, of course I health test my German Shepherds, but I don't need to worry about a Pomeranian. Yeah, you do. So no matter what breed you're looking at getting, do your research on grooming, on health, on behavior, training, how social the animal is, and then find a breeder that is doing it right. They're socializing the puppies. They're exposing the puppies to new things as they grow, you know. Those are all important. If your puppy is growing up in a backyard with minimal attention, somebody's just trying to make money.
Right.
They're not trying to put out a good pet. The hard part in rescue is we don't know the history of these dogs. Maybe at one point they came from a reputable breeder. We don't know. So we see a lot of health issues. We see a lot of under-socialized dogs that are terrified of the world. We try to be as transparent as possible about those things. As soon as we identify them, we let people know, you know, if you want to adopt this dog, she's scared, you're going to have to take your time with her, do slow introductions with family and friends, you know, whatever the case may be. But when we don't know the history of the dog, it's really hard to say, you know, this is going to be a healthy dog. And that's rescue. But also just because they came into the world not under the best circumstances doesn't mean they deserve to live a life in a shelter, or worse, to be put to sleep because there's no space.
Yeah.
So we advocate for them, and, you know, I love rescue dogs. There's something about the fact that they have been through whatever they've been through and can still love us. That is truly amazing and beautiful and inspiring. And, you know, my personal opinion is there's always going to be a dog that needs to be saved. I will never go to a breeder. I will always rescue my dogs. And that's just, again, that's my personal preference. I like the underdog.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think, too, something to reiterate to folks is, I know with like Kern County Animal Services and a lot of the shelters in Bakersfield, and I'm assuming with Marley's Mutts, the dogs that you adopt from these shelters and rescues have been spayed and neutered if they're of age and have gotten their vaccines already. So once you find your, you know, your perfect companion, you don't have to worry about the, you know, kind of pain in the butt that it, you know, takes to get your dog all situated when they're, you know, young, and getting them in your home safely.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, so Marley's Mutts is, as we've said, a great place to learn more about all sorts of different breeds and the ways that dogs in particular can really benefit our lives as, you know, companions and friends, and they become family members. And you guys are really big parts of the Tehachapi community of Kern County. We have an event coming up here soon that is going to give back to Marley's Mutts in a way, or help support what you guys do. Tell me a little bit about this comedy show that we have coming up that is a fundraiser for you guys.
Okay, so our executive director's husband is a comedian and is very well known in Kern County, has a lot of connections, knows a lot of people. And so he had the really great idea of putting together a comedy show to help raise money for the organization. So on August 30th, partnered with West Lane Brewing Company, or brewery, we will be having a comedy event. We have, not only is John the host, I'm sure he's going to be telling us some of his jokes and getting us to laugh, but he's also bringing in 3 other local to the Central Valley comedians. So they're all donating their time, and they're going to come out and put on a show for anybody who is interested in coming out and seeing them. Prior to the event at West Lane Brewing, from 4 to 6:30, we're actually going to have some adoptable dogs there.
Oh, nice.
So you can come out ahead of the show, meet some dogs. Even if you're not going to the show and you're interested in adopting, you can come by, meet some of our pups. And then the event will actually be from 7 to 8:45 in the evening. We do have just regular general admission tickets for $25 and then VIP tickets for $35. And the VIP is you'll be closer to the stage. A free drink will be included.
Very nice. Okay, so a great night to enjoy some stand-up comedy. I know we have, every so often a comedy show out at P-Dubs, but this is here in town. I want to say maybe the first of its kind at West Lane. Don't quote me on that, but it'll be a great, unique event and a great way to support Marley's Mutts.
Well, and if anybody wants to know who's coming and you want to look them up and see, we have Jeremiah Nation, who is also a veteran. We have Joe Alanis and Chris Flail. So if you wanted to look them up and just see who they are and if it's your speed of comedy, please do. And then we also have John Wells, so you can look him up. And again, if you're interested at all, we'd love to have you out to the event. It's hard to just constantly putting on social media. We need your financial support. We need your financial support. So we thought this would be a fun way to engage with the community, give the community something. So you get to come out for a show and enjoy a night, but it still allows us to raise some funds for the organization.
Totally. It's a great idea. And can people buy tickets online or is it there?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can definitely purchase your tickets online ahead of time, but we, depending on how many we sell ahead of the show, we will also have tickets available at the door the night of.
Cool. Okay, so August 30th, the show starts at 7.
Yes.
And that's at West Lane again, across the tracks. And of course, enjoy some West Lane beer, and there'll be some vendors there, right?
Yes. So West Lane is putting together some vendors.
Great.
I don't know exactly who's going to be involved, but they've been coordinating also here, again, with our local community. So just kind of bringing everybody together to be a part of it.
Cool. And I bet they'll probably have some sort of food option, as they usually do. So really an all-around great event and great opportunity to support Marley's Mutts. What else do you guys have going on? Anything else exciting on the calendar?
So, we're doing about 2 adoption events a month. So if you're interested in coming out and hanging out, and I think a lot of people have the misconception that you can only come to an adoption event if you want to adopt a dog. We love being engaged with the community. So even if you have your house is already full of pets and you can't take on any more, but you want to come down and hang out with a dog, cuddle with a dog, take pictures and help us network a dog. All of that is still wonderful. I mean, one of the greatest parts of the adoption events is the dogs get to be out and they get to meet new people and we have a better opportunity to network them. So even if you're not looking to adopt, we always love having people show up to the adoption events and just be a part of them. So we do post those on our social media. I know we've got our PetSmart in Bakersfield. The Ming location should be coming up on the 23rd. We will be, for everybody who pays attention to Mountain Fest, which I know is a really big event out here in Tehachapi, we will be at Mountain Fest this year. So we're really excited about that. We're starting to plan our Veterans Day event. So this will be the 3rd year that we've planned a Veterans Day event. We don't hold it on Veterans Day because there's just too much going on. And we would like to let the veterans focus on other things, but we still want to celebrate them. So we either typically do the weekend before or the weekend after Veterans Day. So as we get all of the details locked in on that, we'll be sharing that. And we love having a good turnout, again, just to come out and celebrate our veterans. So that's going to be a big item. I think that's it. But again, we are trying to do at least 2 adoption events a month. So we'll be keeping you guys posted on all of that. We are doing more ranch events. So the Veterans Day event will be at the ranch. We're starting to do the first Saturday of every month. We have all of our fosters come to the ranch and hang out. And so we're encouraging the community to stop by on the first Saturday because the fosters are usually in homes, and a lot of our fosters are in Bakersfield, so the Tehachapi community doesn't really get to see them. So it's a nice opportunity, if you are interested in a small dog. We typically don't keep the small breed dogs at the ranch. So first Saturday of every month, like I said, we'll have fosters at the ranch and kind of do a little pop-up adoption event that everybody's welcome to come and hang out and meet the pups.
Awesome. I love it. And then you guys are open, is it on the weekends when people can just stop by and check the ranch out and check out some dogs?
Yeah, so you can actually come by the ranch anytime. We're open 7 days a week. We do ask that visitors try to come between like 9:30 and 2:30.
Okay.
That just allows our staff time to open up and get everything clean from overnight, and then at the end of the day to get everybody fed and put away. But yeah, we're there 7 days a week, and we would love to have people stop in. And again, even if you're not going to adopt, it's great socialization for the pups. And, you know, we talk about all the ways that the community can help us, and we typically focus on financial donations and volunteering and fostering. Well, you know, one of the things that we don't really talk about so often is come and meet a dog and take pictures and advocate. Post on your own social media and be a voice for that dog. You know, I think that's something that a lot of people would actually be able to do, but we don't talk about it. So we're working on that too. So if you want to come out and kind of be, you know, almost a sponsor for the dog, and take it under your wing and be its voice and try to help us find a home for it, we would love to get the community engaged and stuff like that as well.
Awesome. An easy way to just give a little bit of your time and help find a great home for these dogs. What are some of the other kind of general volunteer opportunities that people can partake in out at Marley's Mutts?
So right now we have a whole bunch of puppies. So puppy socialization is huge.
What a hard job. I'm sure that is.
So if anybody wants to come and, you know, just help socialize those puppies and show them different toys and get them used to having a collar on or dragging a leash around, depending on where they are with their vaccines. You know, any of that we definitely need help with. Just walking our dogs. So a lot of times, you know, we'll do play groups and stuff like that at the ranch, but just getting them out and walking them around the property makes a huge difference. So if you wanted to help with something like that, we can always use the help. Again, our mutt movers has been really busy this year. So, you know, we would love to start putting together volunteer teams that can help us clean the transport vehicles when they get back, or help us stage the transport vehicles before they go. So if you want to help with that kind of stuff, we need volunteer drivers. So we typically send a staff member, and then we like having a second volunteer driver. So we're looking at filling some more of those volunteer driver billets. So if you like to drive and you're up for a 3-day, 4-day road trip, let us know. We could definitely use your help. Must love dogs. You know, there's so many ways. Sharing our posts, that's huge. You know, coming to the ranch and, like I said, take some pictures of the dogs and get to know one and advocate for it. We're getting ready to launch a new fun program called Where's Paldo?
Oh, okay.
Where we will be asking for volunteers to come pick a dog to take out into the community, and then have other community members looking to find that dog while it's on an outing. So it was something I did once for a long stay dog at the city shelter, and I thought, you know what? Again, trying to find ways to engage the community. You don't have to adopt a dog. You don't have to do anything. But if you spot it out in public, run up, say hi, take a picture. So we'll be working on details about that. And again, you know, looking for volunteers who are okay with taking a dog out into the community. And it doesn't have to be an all-day thing. It could be an hour. It can be 2 hours. But again, just gets our dogs off site and gets the community engaged with them.
I love it. So there's so many ways that people can get involved, and I like that you guys are always coming up with new creative ways to keep the interest going and keep getting your message out there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Connor, anything else with Marley's Mutts, or just anything happening out there?
No, I mean, I think it's a good opportunity to say thank you to all of our supporters. You know, we've been around for 16 years, and that would not have been possible if we didn't have the support from, you know, sometimes it's people in other countries that are watching us on social media, but a lot of it is our local community. And so just a really big thank you to everybody for helping support us and keeping the dream alive and letting us save lives.
Absolutely. Well, Connor, thanks so much for coming in. Remind people of the website that they can learn more about all this information.
So it's www.marleysmutts.org.
Perfect. Easy peasy. And if people are listening and they have questions, we'll put that in our show notes as well for you to refer to. But Connor, thanks for stopping by. It's been a minute. We're glad to have you back.
Thank you. It's been great.
All right. And to everybody listening, thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you back here next time on Tehatchapod.
You've been listening to Tehatchapod. If you have a question, a thought, or a suggestion, email media@tehachapiecityhall.com. We'll catch you again soon, right here on Tehatchapod.